So Rob, you have a band called Space Kitchen, and
Yeah.
I did a review of your debut album, and you're working on a new one.
As the time passes, the day clouds don't leave the sky at all, and that's okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of your band. I'm
Oh,
excited.
thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. That means a lot.
Cool. Yeah, it's hopefully I can spread the word as well, through my channel.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's sort of what part of what this channel is all about. It's what I've always been about. I've always loved to support newer bands that are sort of coming out of the woodwork, kind of they're independent, trying to make your mark.
Yep, absolutely. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So you said what was it? We had an exchange by email recently, and you mentioned it was a Friday. You do a recording day. You have a regular kind of.
Yeah, Fridays we do most of our recording just Friday, like 11 to 6-ish. Sometimes we'll get together a second time during the week. I think maybe today or tomorrow we're getting together. It depends how the song's going. We're trying to put out a song every 6 to 10 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And which is hard. It's a lot of writing. It's a lot because we do everything ourselves. We're just two guys, and we do all the mixing, the mastering, all the instruments ourselves. So sometimes it takes a bit longer. So if it's I think our last song came out I think June 20th ish. So it's been about 8 or 9 weeks now. So we're kind of trying to rush this next one. Well, not rush it, but get it done.
Is that when you add these songs, are they eventually going to be the next album kind of, or are you adding it to the album you already have?
Yeah, everything after the EP we're going to include as part of a second EP.
Oh, okay.
Because we want to keep the first one short, because like you said, how you said you kept like re-listening to it. That was very intentional. While we were doing that, I was listening to a lot of like the early Beatles stuff, like With the Beatles, Meet the Beatles. And I loved how those albums were like maybe 30, 31 minutes.
Right.
I found myself listening to Meet the Beatles, I think every day for like 40 days straight, just because it's so short, it's so convenient. Right.
Interesting. Yeah. That was more typical back in the late 60s. I think a lot of albums were like 30 minutes or maybe even not even 30. Yeah, that's true. So are you're into listening to the Beatles a lot lately? That's cool.
Oh,
I was too. I find I've been a Beatles fan since I was like 4 years old. I became a really heavy duty, loved the Beatles. And I find throughout my life that I have I come back to the Beatles. Like for a while, I won't listen to them for a whole year or 2 years, whatever. And then all of a sudden I just want to hear them over and over. And I'm
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I love the Beatles. My dad loves them. My grandfather saw them live. It was like worst show he's ever seen. You couldn't
really?
hear them at all.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah, they were. Yeah. The technology was terrible back then.
But they were just in a league of their own. Like,
yeah,
there's nothing else like them.
Lucky granddad to see them. That would be just amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you could get in a time machine and see any band live in history, obviously Beatles, what other bands would you love to drop in and see?
I would go see I can't remember if it was 1981 or 82, the Genesis reunion with Peter Gabriel.
Oh, okay.
Because there's no footage of that.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Same thing with there's the audio recording, but there's no. And apparently he came out in a coffin, and there were so many cool live gimmicks he only did for that one show. I would love to see that, even though it was apparently raining the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with like The Lamb Lies Down Broadway. I'd love to go see that. I saw the Musical Box do it, which is great, but it's not the same.
Right.
Any old Rush. What about you, if you had a time machine?
Well, the Beatles for sure. Yes, I'd want to go see Yes when they did like Close to the Edge tour kind of thing, or I wouldn't mind seeing King Crimson. Mike Oldfield, I don't know if you know Tubular Bells.
Yeah.
They really pushed him hard to do some live stuff. He was very resistant.
Did he do that live?
Yeah, he did. Wow. I think he did very few shows or just one show, and the Virgin, what's his name, Richard Branson, really had to beg him on his knees, like, please do a live show. So he did one, but he hated playing live. So
well, it's such a. I've only listened to Tubular Bells a couple times, and that's only in the past year or so. But it's such a big production. I imagine like it'd be hard to get it perfect live.
Oh yeah. I think there's some. He did a BBC concert in a studio, and he had a bunch of musicians with him. But yeah, of course he recorded he recorded it all on tape, on a tape machine, re-recording every track over and over, and there's the concern of bending or stretching the tape. Yeah, and losing info from the metal that's in the tape and all that. So what's your process of recording?
So how it works is I typically I write most of the structures for the song. I'll sit down on piano, I'll come up with something, usually not any of the melodies or the vocals. That's something that Robbie is better at. Lyrics too, he does. And then once I have like a rough idea of a song, I'll send it to him, and then we start working on it. We'll jam it, record the drums, the piano, and then we'll decide who wants to play what, because Robbie is this fantastic godlike bass player. Like, he's just so much better than everyone I've met, like so much better than me. Like people I meet think I'm okay at bass, but I'm nowhere near as good as Robbie. But if he wants me to do it, sometimes a couple tracks I'll do. He usually does the guitar, and then we'll add on whatever. We'll keep on going back to it every week and be like, should we take this out, should we add that? Which is nice because we have complete freedom of control over it.
Yeah Absolutely. So you're honing your vision, Yeah. Which is another cool thing I liked about your band. I mentioned in my review how it kind of reminded me of ELO a little bit. And actually ELO are very influenced by the Beatles, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Didn't the ELO guy, he produced some of the Beatles and solo work and stuff?
Jeff Lynne, he produced and wrote for Tom Petty, for George Harrison, for lots of people. He's an incredible songwriter.
Yeah, incredible. So is that conscious, or did I just pick that up? Is that ELO?
Oh no, that's conscious. It's a bold claim to make, but the claim we'd like to make is that we're ELO crossed with Rush.
Okay,
because those are at least my two loves. I mean, Robbie also loves Rush. We're big Rush fanatics. Yeah, Rush fans. They're Yeah.
For me, Rush came just a little bit later. Probably my favorite band in the world was Yes, when I was I don't know, 10 or 11, getting into prog and stuff. And then Rush came a little later because I was kind of reacting a bit to Geddy Lee's singing. I wasn't crazy about his voice. And also, to me, it was kind of heavy metal. It was like kind of hard,
Compared to Yes.
Yeah, compared to Yes. So
Yes is the most positive band on the planet.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Yeah, they are. So Rush, that's cool. I noticed one of the songs was called The Moving Pictures or something.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a... So originally, actually, the idea for that song was I had this idea that I wanted to write the song about the movie that Romeo and Juliet go to see in the cinema show. But then it ended up becoming its own thing, but we kept the name as a reference.
Cool.
And there's a bit of a joke in that song no one's picked up yet. There's the main sort of the chord progression it opens on.
Right.
It goes to that, and then it goes to it later with the arpeggiated solo section.
Okay.
So we figured by then, okay, we played it maybe 8 times, so people kind of know how it goes. And then the end, it plays it, but it doesn't play the final note.
Oh.
And we're wondering if that was going to annoy people or not. To me and Robbie, it was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Like, we end up having a lot of punchlines that come in as we're recording, I love you, baby. We thought it was getting annoying near the end. So we're like, what if it fades out and then it fades back in? And it's kind of like a joke where it's like, oh, you thought it was over, but nope, it never leaves.
Yeah. So that's cool. So I think that's a good thing, to have some humor in what you're doing. Absolutely. Yeah. And little secret Easter eggs or whatever they call them or something like that. That's cool. I'll have to go back and look for that now. So yeah, I didn't get your partner's name. His name is Robbie, and you're
Yeah,
Rob.
Robbie. Yeah, Robbie Carvello. We've
Okay.
met in grade school. We've been playing in bands since then.
Yeah.
We were at one point our first iteration of a band, which is called I think Majestic, was me, Robert Howell, Robbie Carvello, and a guy named Nick Roberts. So it got really confusing, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's how you. Does he normally go by Robbie, or did you kind of have to do that?
he goes by Robbie.
Oh, that's convenient. Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mhm.
So where's okay? So I just want to pin that down in my mind. So you're singing. Are you the singer?
He's singing.
He's the singer.
doing
Okay.
singing.
All right.
Yeah.
So do you both kind of share recording duties, or do you one of you more into that?
A lot. You mean what do you mean by recording duties?
Well, like who sets up the microphones and stuff like that, and
Mostly him. He's a lot
Okay.
better on the technical side of that.
Oh, okay. Did he
Like
did he have any
yesterday we
training
were.
or
No, he's read a lot of books. A lot of. I mean, we've tried to record demos of these songs on and off for the past like 10 or so years. Like we have really old recordings of I think what's it called, like Zookeeper from when we were like 15, just because we had the song written back then, but we really couldn't record it to a point where it's presentable.
Mhm.
This was last year we started. He felt a lot better about his recording process. So we're like, okay, well, we can do that. And that's when we started putting the finalized versions that we have now.
Great. And now, so you're on Bandcamp, which, by the way, everybody, I'll put the links to the Bandcamp page below.
Yep.
And so people can check out and support you. And you don't have a CD though at the moment, do
No,
you?
not at the moment.
Yeah. Someday, hopefully, you'll do that. That would be cool.
Yeah, I'd love that, or like vinyl or something,
or even vinyl. Sure, absolutely. Do you guys record mostly like on laptop or kind of thing?
We use Reaper most of the time.
Okay.
Which actually, I was really impressed by the way you picked up on the no click thing on the EP. We we didn't think anyone noticed. We weren't afraid of anyone noticing, but it's not exactly in time the entire time, because we jammed it enough. Because with our new stuff, we're almost writing it in the DAW half the time. Like we have the structure, and then we're coming up with those songs we kind of had so well in our head that we're like, okay, we're going to jam them. We're not going to worry about click, so it sounds very authentic.
Yeah,
and then we went from there.
Oh, I noticed it. I don't know if a lot. I'd be curious to know how many people would notice it and what kind of people would notice it. Obviously, I'd done a lot of recording myself. Maybe that's why I noticed it. But I think the click track, the whole revolution of recording digitally, because I mean, I sort of lived through the pre-digital era when I had a 4-track machine. I was doing stuff on 4-track cassettes and stuff like that. And when click tracks came around, I guess it started with drum machines. Did you know that in the 80s, people were seriously thinking drummers might be out of work because of drum machines? Can you believe that?
No. Same thing with I heard with the Mellotron there. They're like, oh, string players are going to be out of work.
Hilarious.
And it doesn't now in 2023, it doesn't sound anywhere close.
No, it's funny though. I hear the very first audio recordings they did, like in the early 1900s, like where they're inventing this kind of thing. They would play this tinny sounding speaker, like just a big horn, and they'd say it sounds exactly like a reproduction of, like, you're right there. Of course, we would listen to it. It sounds so tinny and
terrible,
thin. But it's funny. It's perception is reality, isn't it? Yeah. So Space Kitchen, what? Did you come up with the name because you guys live near Kitchener? That's what I thought.
No, it's me and Robbie have been trying to find a good band name since we met. I think since probably about 2004. We went through so many: Majestic, Rain Station, Space Kitchen was the one we landed on that we couldn't think of something we liked more. And now we're kind of locked in. I guess we put out an album, so we're Space Kitchen forever.
Sure, I guess so.
People have said they like the name.
Yeah, I do. It's so basic. You'd think that maybe there are 50 other bands already came up with it.
Well, I'd love to have a one-word name, but there's so many of them are taken.
Yeah.
It's so hard to come up with like a band name that someone hasn't used.
Yeah, I know, I know. Not to mention, like you said, it's a matter of you and Robbie want to both feel that you agree that it's the right name, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can take a long time. That could be a struggle. I've done that a few times too. So Space Kitchen. So you're a duo. Do you guys do some live gigs together?
We'd like to in the future. Right now, we're not really set up for that, but we're thinking that whatever we write next, we're gonna write it and record it in a way that we will play it live.
Right.
Hopefully next year I'd like to start doing some live stuff. If not, the year after for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But right now we don't have like any session players, or it'd be hard to pull it off. I have Crown Lands is a two piece band that plays live, but
right, yeah.
But they're more kitted out for that.
Yeah. Crown Lands. Yeah, I reacted to one of their songs, and I want to go back and listen to more. It's really, really Rushish.
Yeah.
And which is interesting. It reminds me there's another band that sounds a lot like Led Zeppelin. So
Veta Grand Fleet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, to me, it's pretty cool to see the young upcoming generation who are kind of bypassing all the EDM or whatever it's called, electronic music, the DJs on a laptop kind of thing, and going straight to musicianship. So
well, that's how I started. I started with instruments, and like I wanted to be a good instrumentalist. Was my main goal.
Cool. Yeah. Because I think that really it makes you who you are as an artist. Like, Phil Collins of Genesis, of course, he started out singing back vocals and playing drums. He's one of the best drummers in the world.
Oh yeah. Me and Robbie, I don't know if we're ever do it live, but we do the solo section from Cinema Show.
Oh, nice.
And he spent months learning that on drums.
Yeah.
Like there is so much little detail and finesse in there that it's insane that I think he's maybe 21 at the time, some 21-year-old guy just kind of came up with it in the jam.
Yeah. And of course he probably, I mean, he wouldn't have gotten so good if they weren't actually touring full time. So is that something you'd like to do someday?
Oh yeah, I love that. My dream is to live off of music. Yeah. Which was what Phil Collins' dream was. Like I read his book, and all he says is like in the beginning, like if he'd be happy if he could afford rent playing drums. And then you consider how much money he made and how far he went. It's like he really achieved that goal.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't planning to get divorced 3 times, but it happens.
No. Yeah, that was sort of sad to hear about that. It could be hard. Like I know my recommendation would be like I did some touring when I was 18 for a good year and a half. I was a full-time musician.
Oh,
and
how'd you like it?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I really became a great, much better musician during that time. It's you really focus on your craft. However,
I was just gonna say I follow a band called Brass Camel. I don't know if you heard of them. I think they're out from Vancouver, but they're sort of like a couple of like a funky prog band. But they just went on a big tour. I've been following them, and during their tour, they just got so much better at playing together. Like they were good, and then you watch the Instagram stories every day, and they're getting tighter and tighter, and then they're starting to like improvise stuff really well and really work as a team. And then the music they're writing now is much better. I would love for that to happen in Space Kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope. I'm really hoping. You guys are making really cool, creative music, and
thanks.
So let me think. What else can I ask you? I haven't thought of. So we know some of your inspirations. You mentioned already some bands that you like and whatnot, and I guess you want to just explore your own style and just sort of figure out what's your natural style of writing. So you mentioned you were already writing in your teens or whatever, right? With Robbie, So
I wrote a song I think the first time I picked up a bass. Like I always thought that if you're gonna play music, the kind of point is songwriting. I like doing covers and like learning other people's songs, but it's a lot easier to write a song than to You know, back in the day, I for years I saw the musical box when I was a kid, when I was like 12, play a bunch of Lamb stuff, sorry, Selling by the Pound stuff. And for a while, I had in my head, I'm like, I want to play keyboards for a Genesis tribute band. And then over time, I learned that's way harder than writing equally as impressive keyboards in a way, because it's harder to play in another person's style than in your own style. And that's one of the things that really helped write this album. Was it's like, okay, well, I don't have to play like Tony Banks. I can play my own stuff, even though I try to fit a little Tony Banks in there. But
right. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm the same way. As soon as I pick up an instrument, I feel like I just want to start creating well, for me, I was driven as a kid by the desire to make music, simple as that, just create my own music. So how do you feel about I don't know, how's the attitude? Like you're a younger generation than I am. So how do your what do you call them? Your contemporaries. How is everyone thinking? Are you thinking on a different level than most of your friends, or?
I mean, it's always been like that since like I've never really listened to the modern pop music, even when I would have liked it. Like, let's say I'm 30 now, so I was growing up in high school in 2007 to 2011. So when I had those peers my age, they were listening to stuff like Soulja Boy, Taylor Swift, which I wasn't really following. I got excited for this one, The Whirlwind, which came out in 2008. That was my high school album.
Cool.
Absolute one of my favorite albums of all time. But it became rare to see someone else in person or to like happen upon someone who has the same musical tastes. So it's not so much that I don't know, it feels lucky when you find someone else that likes Rush and Genesis and all that stuff that's like around your age. It's not it doesn't happen very often, but it's a great feeling.
Do you watch a lot of the YouTubers that are out there, the prog YouTubers?
Yeah. I was watching your stuff before this.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Have you seen? There's Neve, the prog nerd, out of London, UK.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of her?
No.
She kind of had a quick rise, and then she kind of got too busy for her channel. But she was a young. I guess she was in college or no, she was high school still. She discovered prog rock and she just decided to share it on a channel. Of course, all of the prog audiences just exploded really fast. Everyone was like, wow, a young lady who's into prog. That's really a rarity. Right? So, but there does seem to be an explosion of interest in prog on YouTube. There's all kinds of new channels popping up where people are focused just on prog, and the whole ethos of it is it's all about being good at your instrument, being a good songwriter, your craft.
Trying to make things a little more interesting than they could be.
Yes.
Like to me, it's a lot of seeing the easy way that a song could go and then being like, well, I could end this bridge like that, or I could add like 5 chords that they weren't expecting and do a little tangent down in another direction and kind of end it there,
Absolutely. Being creative is what it's all about. Do you have any other avenues that you like to express your creativity? Are you into art or anything like that? Or
no, I was never a good artist. I don't have like a visual imagination. I like the music. It does me well.
And how about videos? Do you guys have any like official videos for your music?
Yeah, we have a couple of music videos. I edit those. I've been learning how to do the video stuff just to save money because we don't really have much of a budget yet. So I've been cutting together those. We're actually going to make some more soon. We're thinking our next song, which is going to be a much proggier song, which we're excited for. It's probably, I think it's our best song yet. That one, we're actually going to put out the music video first, because now in the current music climate, you want to finish a song and then put up for playlisting for like 4 weeks on Spotify, so that people that curate all the playlists and stuff have time to listen to it. But that complicates things because we also want to put out songs like as fast as possible, because watching our stats online, we can see, in between our last release and now, it's like the numbers start to drop a bit. People, stop listening, and we want to keep people
Oh, I see. So that's sort of the idea.
Yeah, so we're
Um,
gonna do a couple music videos.
yeah.
Probably they're gonna be out probably by the end of the year.
Yeah. So do you have like a script kind of an idea, like sort of like a MTV type of video, or just a
Uh,
live kind of video, or
we've thought about it. Like we have a like an in studio one right now for the song "My Love to You." We're gonna do another one of those for the new ones, and probably Sun Tower, I think. But we're thinking something like The Arrival, where if it's a bit more of a story, maybe we'll try something scripted. But that's down the line.
well, that's cool, actually. I didn't realize you're going to be putting out more stuff soon. That's good, actually.
Mhm.
I've heard somebody say they thought that was a bad idea. So there's
Mhm.
definitely a variety of opinions. Oh, who was it? Somebody was saying, oh yeah, it was when I was interviewing the mommy heads. It was he was saying he didn't like the idea of putting out singles. He thought, it should only be albums. But
Yeah.
he's been around for decades. So I
Wow.
mean, he's sort of
That's what I thought, honestly. Up until maybe half a year ago, I thought that, and then I was listening to Peter Gabriel's. He's been putting out a song every full moon, and every full moon, I'm
oh
excited now. I really want to hear it. Like I like that you get to hear one song a month, kind of listen to it, learn it, and then
yeah.
move on. In
Yeah.
comparison to something like the Flower Kings put out an album last week. I don't know if you've
Right.
heard it yet, but
No, I
I
haven't.
I've listened to it 3 times now. I have a hard time remembering a lot of it just because it's a lot of music at once, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the thought I had too. I wondered because you mentioned the Beatles albums like 30 minutes. And how much how much music can you digest is a good point because when I know when Yes came out with Topographic Oceans, it was like
Mm-hmm.
they had already done Close to the Edge, so they had one
Yeah.
side of music and then two songs on the other side, and then they came out with four massive songs. And
Yeah, it's the only Yes album I've never really been able to get into for
right,
that
so
reason.
yeah, and nowadays there is a lot of competition for people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, like when I grew up, of course, before the internet, before smartphones and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
basically your choice of entertainment was okay, go to the roller rink, go
Yeah.
skating up, to go hang out with your friends, go to a movie, go to the mall, and that
Yeah.
was, and maybe television,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. Nowadays there's gaming, which didn't even, well, I mean, they had
Yeah.
arcades when arcades came out,
Mm-hmm.
but it costs a lot of money. It was like a lot of quarters you putting in the
Yeah.
machines. And so now, of course, there's got all these social medias, all the YouTube is constantly coming out with new videos and content,
It's a
Instagram.
contest for entertain or for attention.
Right.
You can only really look at one thing at a time or listen to one thing at a time, and everyone wants to be that thing.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So it's a very different environment for musicians, but the encouraging thing is it really does seem that prog rock is growing in interest because
Yeah.
there's there's a when people do reaction videos to prog rock from the 70s, they get
Mhm.
tons of hits, and
Yeah.
people are very interested in sort of re-examining that style of music. And yeah, so what other stuff do you like to check out music wise that you're following?
You mean new bands
Yeah, new
or
bands or old bands or whatever, anything. What kind of
um
music?
besides Rush and Genesis and the Beatles, my other big huge influence, I love Billy Joel. I love all of his stuff. I want to be a piano man when I grow up just like him. Just because there's not many people where the piano is their thing. A lot of people switch to synthesizers or organs or whatever, but to stick with the basic piano and make it sound really good and do a lot with it is its own achievement, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I was going to say like Tori Amos kind of brought the
Yeah.
piano back. I mean, there's Elton John, there's
Yep.
the guy you just mentioned. I just blanked on
Billy
his name.
Joel.
Billy Joel, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. Who else is doing piano stuff? Anyone?
Well, I mean, lots of jazz people.
Oh, jazz, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is Robbie's side of he's a jazz guy. He's also like a prog guy like me, but he's a lot more of the jazz and the also like Thin Lizzy, that sort of stuff. I'm a huge fan of all the guys in Transatlantic. Mike Portney's, my goal one day is to get Mike Portney to say he likes my music in some way, give me some sort of compliment. Like it's not money, it's not fame. It's like Mike Portney gives me a thumbs up. Would be how I know I made it.
Well, I hope I can. I'm hoping my channel will continue to grow and I'll be able to interview some of these big guys. The biggest guy I've interviewed was the guitarist from Haken.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. So I hope I can interview Dream Theater at some point. That would be pretty awesome.
Have you heard of a band called Pride? They're from out of they're we talked to them quite a bit. We're good friends with them.
Yeah, they're in Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think they were working on something new lately too. So
because you do your women in Prog thing, and I think they have 3 out of their 5 members are women.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I think I did a reaction to one of their songs.
Okay.
I'll have to go back and check because I don't. But certainly if they do something new, I've already said to them, let's let me know when something comes out. We'll do some. There's also some bands here there's some local bands here in Victoria. There's another one who are a prog band, and they're working on something new. And that's speaking of Canadians, there are some Canadian bands. I guess Crownlands, they're from Toronto, are they?
Yeah.
So they're picking up Rush's torch. Yeah.
They blew up fast. Like I feel like as soon as I heard about them, they were already like one of the biggest bands in the country.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's just 2 of them too.
Mm-hmm.
So you think
Junos and stuff now? I think.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. So what would you need if you need to finish out a band? How many more players do you think you'd want to have?
We'd want a full-time drummer, and I think we'd want like someone that switches in between bass and guitar, because Robbie, like I said, he's a really good bass player, but his favorite thing in the world is to do guitar solos, which makes sense because like one note at a time sort of thing. Like you're basically, when you're playing a guitar solo, you're basically playing bass in a way. I can see where he's coming from, but maybe, and then I'd love to have someone that just plays a bunch of random instruments like flute, violin, all that, and is okay at like a bunch of them just to switch constantly. I saw Peter Gabriel last Monday, and the 2, I think he had 2 string players and a trumpet player, and they added so much to the band.
Oh yeah. That was what venue did you see them?
The Scotia Bank in Toronto.
Oh, okay. I think my
Scotia
cousin
Center.
Oh, it's Scotia Center. It used to be called Sky Dome, and then Air Canada Center.
Yeah.
It's changed names a lot. Yeah. He played in Ottawa too. Then I think I know a friend who went and saw him in Ottawa. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic show.
My wife saw Peter Gabriel back when he came out with the big album. Was it So? Yeah, she
Sledgehammer and Red Rain, and
she had a boyfriend take her to that. It's before I knew her. Lucky her, man. I would love to see that. Well, that's good that you saw Peter Gabriel. Have you ever seen Rush?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 5 or 6 times.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Great. I've seen them a couple times. The oldest show I saw was Hold Your Fire.
Oh, nice. That would have been a good time to see them.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, it was very interesting.
I love the 80s Rush. Like Power Windows is probably my favorite Rush album.
Me too, actually.
Wow. I've never heard anyone else say that. That's great.
Yeah. Well, when Power Windows came out, I was like 18 years old. I was on the road, and we were playing with a drummer who was a Neil Peart clone. He could
nice.
Literally. In fact, the band I was in, we were basically like Rush clones. We did actually a few Rush tunes. Nice. So when it came out, I just remember, I'll never forget, he ran into the store. It was a rainy day in Toronto. He hopped in the back of the car and he ripped off the saran, and of course he's into lyrics just like Neil Peart was. He always pulls the disc out, he's reading the lyrics, and we're going, we got to get this home and listen to this. We were so excited, and that album just blew my mind, man. At the time it was just so, like, the production and everything was so pristine and huge. I'd never heard anything so huge. I don't know.
That album, Big Money, what's the Marathon? That's kind of what I describe when I say Rush meets ELO.
Okay.
They're very hooky, they're catchy, but they're also like, they have like cool instrumental sections, and Yeah.
Sweet. Oh, that's cool. Well, we have that in common. It's a favorite of mine. And there are some Rush fans. I won't say a lot of them. There is a number of Rush fans who are just 70s, everything from the 80s they're not really too crazy about. And so yeah.
Very few fans of just the 90s though. I've never met anyone who said I just like 90s Rush.
That's true.
Maybe one day if you're out there, message me.
Out where?
If anyone listening is only a 90s Rush fan, please let me know.
Yeah, we'd like to know. That would be, I've never heard of that either. So less than a minute left according to Zoom. I don't have the paid version, so they kick you off after 40 minutes. So but that's great. I think we got a great interview in, and I thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
Is there anything you wanted to say to wrap up before we get
you can check us out on DistroKid/Space Kitchen. If you go to Instagram/Space Kitchen, you can find a link to all of our stuff. We have more coming out. We always have more coming out.
Excellent. All right. So thanks again for that. Okay, we'll be in touch, and hopefully we'll talk again someday.
Absolutely. It's great talking to you.
All right. Bye-bye.